Alrighty. Today, I'd like to talk about some of the applications or websites that I personally use that I believe you might want to try to incorporate into your life whenever picking stocks or analyzing stocks. Obviously, there are countless out there, and I just want to pinpoint some of the ones that I use and why I use them, because I think there's plenty of applications and sites that do the same. A lot of these I have both the phone applications on my smartphone as well as sounded like an old person there, but I also use the websites on occasion too whenever I'm by a computer as I am now, because there's a little bit more functionality on the websites usually than there are on the apps. So that's another additional thing to think about as well. But I certainly do use the apps as well as the websites. First up here would be Seeking Alpha, as you've seen previously. Seeking Alpha is, I would say, probably my favorite app, and I use it 100% for the news capabilities. So just as an example, I have Home Depot pulled up just because they just reported earnings. So we'll go into this, and they have this news tab, which will show anything that would be related to that ticker. So whether it be retail, which is mentioned in there, they have each stock mentioned in there. And if it's mentioned, what the heck, No, I'm just kidding. Then it would be that. So I love this for earnings, just because you can see it's a real quick snapshot. It'll link you to the press release from them. Obviously, if it's a stock I own, I certainly will do more research into an earnings report, such as go into their conference call. But this is a good snapshot if you're looking at a stock just to see how they're doing. If you want to look at previous earnings, you can certainly do that. So right here, Home Depot beat on a GAAP EPS standpoint by 9 cents. Great. They missed on revenue by 140 million, but still is a 1.2% increase on the year in terms of revenue, year over year at least. Not quarter over quarter, but last year's quarter two against this year's quarter two, they rose 1.2%. So that's exciting news. And then you always have the more in-depth one right after that, which will obviously give another update on where the shares are falling pre or post market. They post guidance on here as well as the specifics, which you can see in the conference call themselves or the press release by Home Depot. So, and then they link you previously to their original one. So I find it exciting. I think it's very good. I would say I enjoy it. So same thing from this news tab too. You can sort it by whatever you'd like to. You can sort it by earnings, so you don't have to necessarily be looking at specific stocks. You can just sort by earnings, and it'll show you every company that has a news story out related to earnings, whether it be they reported or they are going to report earnings. So you can see it'll show pretty much every stock that exists out there. So you're going to see a bunch of these crazy penny stocks that maybe hit earnings really good, and they shot up 200%, something like that. Or if you want an idea for something that maybe could rebound, if you see a company you've been looking at, they miss earnings pretty bad and the market just absolutely devastates them, it might be a buying opportunity. So that's what that news tab's helpful for. It's very good for helping discover new stocks. But on top of that, so I mostly use it for that news capability, but obviously there's a lot more you can do here. Obviously, being a Seeking Alpha premium member, you can get a lot of these analysis here, which, it's I don't know how much I believe in analysts, but obviously, if you're a premium member, you get access to a lot of other people's opinions, which is nice, I guess. It's helpful to know, but the news tab there also just gives you access to people who write articles regarding the stocks, so you can get opinions that way. Obviously, it's not quantified in data necessarily, so that's one benefit to this premium, would be having that access. Obviously, everything you'd want to know here. You only get anything 5 years previously, anything more, which is available online as well. But it's kind of, they're trying to be a one-stop shop here, where you can see revenue growth over the years, and as you see, obviously they're still on a steady growth here. So good to see. If you're looking to invest, even a 5-year picture is good to know. So I'd say it's definitely worth looking at this. It'll show you earnings. So that's pretty interesting. Last quarter's earnings and their upcoming earnings. Give you a snapshot on that. Here I'll give you an actual versus the estimates for previous quarters. Good estimate there to see how a company's doing earnings wise. That's always exciting, and it'll go into revenue and EPS. So that's good. They've got a dividend tab, which I always enjoy. I personally enjoy stocks that do pay dividends, so I invest in a lot of companies that do. So it's good to see what their yield is, their annual payout, so you know what you'll be getting, their payout ratio, so how much of their money is being spent on dividends, and their growth rate, which is fantastic, and how long they've been growing their dividends. So 10 years. Obviously, you want a company that's been growing their dividend. It's usually a very good sign if you're investing in a dividend stock. Unless it's a super high yield stock, then they probably just keep it a consistent dividend. But in those cases, you want to look for payout ratio. Don't know why I'm doing any analyzing. I'm supposed to be analyzing the website. But it'll give you your declared date, your ex-dividend date. Ex-dividend date's the time you have to be holding the stock before if you want to qualify for it. The amount, the record date, which will show up on your. It'll show up for you as something that will be paid to you, and then your payout date, and how often they pay out that dividend. So that's exciting. And within it, I mean, obviously there's all these tabs, which will lead you right down to here. If you want to go in that dividend growth tab, why not? If I can get it to pull up, you see a very nice boom, 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 boom. That's what we want to see. So I'm around 16.43% on a 10-year basis of growth. So obviously fantastic. There's a lot of good data here. A lot of good data. So I'd say go ahead and give Seeking Alpha a try here. And there's plenty more to go off of. So just keep on clicking these things. And there's so much data here. You can do any analysis on a stock you really want. Besides, obviously, a couple things that they want you to do premium for. But regardless, you can get a lot just off the base here. I think the news is the most useful part of this, but obviously there's so many good data points here. Next, I'd like to go into Yahoo Finance. Microphone just attacked me, but I'd like to talk about Yahoo Finance now, another application I use, both the website and the app. Just have Target pulled up here for, I don't know what reason, but it was the first thing that came to my head, so I went ahead and did it. Obviously, your normal chart here, analyst recommendations. Don't like analysts, as I said before, but it'll show you what fair value would be, usually based off a PE ratio standpoint. Obviously, here's that important data here. PE ratio 15, very fair value right now, in my opinion. If not a little undervalued compared to most stocks right now. PEs are a little bit high on occasion, but it does show that there's room to grow here. You can add it to your watch list or add a portfolio on here. Same with Seeking Alpha. You can select watch list items so you can keep stocks close that you're looking at and get all those news updates. Company Outlook, I believe, is a premium feature. Yeah, so that's another premium feature. Obviously, every one of these websites is going to have a premium feature, so you can get a little bit more in-depth things such as insider trading and other things like that. More expansive chart with your buy and sell data here when we're seeing a lot of sale, when we're seeing a lot of buys. candlestick chart, as it is referred to. Conversations. We're going to hope we don't get anyone breaking the YouTube guidelines somehow. Don't know why I highlighted that, but it said ladies' room, so I was confused there. Yeah, Rick, we're just going to leave you alone there. I don't know if you're okay, but just going to leave you alone. What we care about is the statistics. Market cap, trailing PE, and forward PE. Lovely forward PE on this company. I'm not supposed to be analyzing it, but I am. 13.7 is a great forward PE. So I think that's fantastic. I'd say it's a company to look at, even though I shouldn't be saying that. Good price to sales and price to book value. This will tell you when their fiscal year ends and their most recent quarter ended, so you know when their new one's coming up. The 52-week high, 52-week low, obviously good. Moving average, boom. Just look at all this data. I mean, it's fantastic. Profit margin, operating margin, revenues, dividends. Here's all your dividend information, as well as date, payout ratio. Obviously, fantastic. A little glance at the balance sheet, their cash per share, debt, book value. So overall, there's a lot of good data here, as well as historical data too, so you can see see where things go. I mean, this is just mind-numbing data right here. I mean, crazy. On your right side, they'll always have their earnings here too, as well as their financials. So that's exciting. You obviously have time for that over here as well. Profile is kind of like a more of a description. You can see what's going on here. Chairman, headquarters, and a description of the company. That's always good to know in case you don't know what a company is if you're looking it up. You can find out what actually they do, because I would never invest in a company without actually knowing what they do. You could try to chase it just for the gains, but obviously if you don't know what a company is, it's hard to actually properly invest in them. Here's that financials tab, analysis, which show you just a screenshot of some number of analysts. Should be the total number of analysts that are actually releasing a rating on it. I don't know what all their standards for calling analysts are, because anyone could be an analyst, and I hate analysts anyway. So regardless, they'll give you analysis on where they're going to hit in terms of earnings, as well as growth, options like that. I said options because I saw this, but here's a tab for options. So if you are an options investor, sketchy, but if you are, you can get here and I'll show you your list, which is interesting. But if you're interested in options, you go right ahead. Options are extremely fun. I want to say fun right before earnings, so that's exciting. The mic is attacking me again, so I'm feeling good about that. I'm too relaxed right now is the issue. Here's another good tab for holders. So about 0.16% of shares are held by insiders, 85% held by institutions. So that's interesting, and so that's going to be your major hedge funds, companies like that. Your Berkshire Hathaways, your Vanguards, Bank of America, those companies. A lot of these, pretty much a good majority of the bigger companies are going to be held majority by institutions. So that's usually, if you see a stock go up or down, it's pretty much 100% just due to an institution buying or selling. It's not going to be your everyday trader selling. So that's one thing to think about. They have a lot of control over the market. These major institutions do. So, and then finally, our sustainability rate, which is obviously interesting data, depending on the company. So it'll show you a bunch of interesting data if you'd like to take a look at it as far as company sustainability, which is exciting. So as well as your product involvement, that's super exciting. So what they sell, Don't know if that's exactly. I don't buy it because they definitely sell some pesticides, I believe. But hey, that's not me. I don't see anything. I'm gonna go on to the next one now. Okay, my next one, which obviously is TipRanks. I love TipRanks. It's fantastic for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you have your news tab, which I'm not going to necessarily go into the holdings tab, but you can insert your portfolio onto here and track it as well in terms of total dollar amount and everything. So it's very exciting. You can just easily link your portfolio. It's a very easy process to link it, so it'll give you portfolio analysis. I'm not going to go into that because I am slightly keeping my portfolio secret to an extent in terms of my holdings, but obviously let's not pay attention to over here. You can see what I'm holding at least. You won't get to see shares and actual value, but just to show it off, I'd love to see this TipRanks. So obviously it'll give you your performance. They just added my public portfolio, which will let others see your portfolio and rank it. But my performance is obviously exciting. It'll show you how many transactions you had that were successful as opposed to ones you lost on. You've got some insider ratings. So I think a lot of these are going to be held by, a lot of these will involve premium to upgrade. I'd say premium for everything. I know it's not necessarily premium. But it'll show you, oh, look, these people are using this strategy and they're super successful. So here are the hot insider trading stocks. But I don't care about that really. So I don't mess with those people because it's still, I'd rather do my own research at the end of the day. My favorite part of the TipRanks website is, well, that's upsetting. So it took out that. So obviously, don't click on things without knowing about them. But anyways, my favorite part is this calendar here. So this calendar will show you any ex-dividend dates as well as earnings releases, as it states there. You can go back and forward and click on them and get the stock analysis. So let's just say a company which reported earnings yesterday. You would click on it, so it would say earnings release in purple, so you'd be like, whoa, that's cool, I want to look at it. So you go into that. I'm just going to go with IQ, company that reported earnings, Chinese company that reported earnings last night. Getting hammered today, by the way, but we can see that. It also show ex-dividend dates. So that's what I love about this. This is what I do to track when I'm getting my dividends, or when I need to hold a stock by. So I'll give you an analyst consensus for a stock, which obviously isn't going to be super updated just because they got absolutely hammered. It gives you a rough estimate, which I like. It gives you your high, your medium estimate, and your low, and a couple of analysts here. So obviously I'm not going to upgrade, but I don't know who the heck HSBC is. I know Loop Capital, but obviously this is why these analysts, who knows who they are, but give you a rating and a price target. So that's exciting. Obviously good data to know. So that's kind of why I like TipRanks. I usually keep track of it very steadily. I check at least every week just to see what I have coming up for that week in terms of earnings and ex-dividends coming up. So finally, I would like to spotlight this. Clearly an ad. No, but dividend.com. It's usually what I do to find dividend stocks and get a little bit more data. So they're focused on dividends. You can insert a portfolio into dividend.com and it can track your annualized dividend amount as well as ex-dividend dates that are coming up. So I find that good, just so you have an idea of where you're going. But obviously you can do analysis here too if you go into stocks. It'll give you your yield, annualized payout, ratio, as well as dividend growth, Another premium feature, which we don't really mess with premium features here. I like to be cheap, so I do my own research and I think it works out. I give you obviously a stock quote, which is exciting. Previous dividends here, so you can track growth. You can view more and see growth over time. Usually they grow on an annualized basis, so every year they'll increase by a certain percentage. So that's exciting. Obviously, all these premium features I don't care much about, but I mostly care about their dividend growth, which you can see, as well as just their dividend amount. So I use this one just to track my dividends more. So, but you can certainly do analysis here. Screw those analysts. Be your own analyst. That's what I'm always going to say. So those right now are the 4 main apps I use. There are a few more. I can go in more in depth later if you're interested. But as a snapshot, these are the apps that I use, and I believe you should use them too.